Welcome back to Eden Zero Anime Review, episode number 26. This one we're discussing the first episode of season 2, which is the 26th episode of the anime. It's called Belial. Yep, that's the name of this episode. This episode adapts from chapters 69, 70, and the first page of chapter 71. Yes, it was a Belial arc. That's the name of this arc, particularly. Yes. Belial. Yep. Now, this is the arc where you could say that the crew of Eden Zero meets Drac and Joe for the first time. Now, of course, the series is streamed by Netflix. Now, Netflix never released the second season yet because their thing is, once they get a license, lock it up for 6 months before they release it here. Yes, and kill any hype for any of these series. Yes, it is quite old. In my honest opinion, I think that Funimation or Crunchyroll should have got their hands in this anime, not Netflix. The reason being is because basically they actually promote the actual series really well, and they're very much taken care of. Now, this episode does not feature Urza Crimson. She's not in this episode because she's not in the material. So, the episode starts off with the narrator of the series, which, by the way, this is a complete unoriginal. Excuse me. So, basically, she gives a recap of the first season. A very abridged recap, per se. Very loosely talking about stuff that happened over the course of the first season. Which, I appreciate the fact they did this, because if you hadn't watched the series since, like, the end of the first season, which was a little over a year ago, it was like 1 year and about, I think it was about 6 months, about a year and a half, about 18 months. And this was a good way to catch people up, which, good job on basically J7 doing that. Yeah, it's interesting the fact that this anime starts like 2 weeks after season 4 of Izaran Turgo's Dungeon. That wraps up. Yeah, that's something though. So after the recap, now they do mention that Christian mentioned, oh yeah, we're going to meet Drac and Joe, another basically terrible enemy. Now, here's the thing. Now, in the episode, there's a brief cameo here by Captain Connor. He, of course, doesn't do much anything. You just see him, but just tips his hat, and that's him for the whole episode. What is the purpose of him being there? He is there to set up a much later story arc. That's the reason why he's here. Now, unlike the last season, this episode, one thing I did notice, though, is that unlike last season, which had 2 episodes which had cameos, actually 3 episode cameos from characters from Fairy Tail. This one, no, they don't have any cameos from characters from Fairy Tail. Not this time, no. So we start off where not only got events of the previous season, after they left Sun Jewel, where you have Rebecca basically bragging about her new ether ability, Leaper, where she can leap stuff, though her actual ability is completely different. Well, what her ability really is. Because it's explored in this episode, which this actually is a tease for the later story arcs. Now, I get the reason why they wanted to also do this particular, why they kept this particular thing in, is because this is a tease for much later story arcs. Yes, what is he, you might ask? I'll get to it. So, of course, we have an Arsenal, and of course, the other thing about racing, Pino 1, Hermit chastises her for basically disabling the ship. So, Rebecca decides to take a bath, and then she sort of falls in the water. It looks like she falls asleep, and then she wakes up in this, looks like an alternate reality, where everything looks strange, and what planet it's on. Shiki is different, which, of course, she knows this, and it looks like something out of Terminator, with these giant robots and him basically firing missiles. And of course, her asking the obvious question, where's Happy? He's like, who's that? And of course, he has to fire her gun. And she's like, and the thing ends with That's the name of a dead cat. So implying that is that is that Happy is dead. Now, the way to kind of explain what the heck that is, I did a little research. I know it's a bit spoilerish, but basically Rebecca has the ability to travel different universes. Yes, that is pretty much basically what universe that was. I don't know, but basically she travels different universes. That's pretty much what the ability is. I'm spoiling it now because basically, if you watch the terms of the anime, you probably have no idea what's going. And she wakes up. Of course, she's butt naked because she passed in the bath, and she's there with. Well, before this scene, actually, before all the race was going on, we do see Witch and Hamru, where they're basically walking the hangar bay, and basically Valkyrie's building. She's basically the weapons officer. That's pretty much her job. And of course, Hamru does ask what exactly the job is of the Four Shining Stars, which is practically nothing. They're basically there to basically just take orders from the Great Demon King, who the current one is, of course, Shiki. They, of course, walk through a hangar, which I don't think this hangar was seen in the previous season. I think this is new area of the ship to explore. And they come across this area called Co 3154, I believe it is. Explaining its name, and of course, which was going to explain what the heck it is. But the problem is that Homura has trouble keeping secrets. So, yeah, telling her would be a bad idea. You're like, okay, that's not for later. If you're curious, basically, if I got a chance to read if anything really changed here, I don't really know what exactly is behind that door, honestly. So, then of course, where Rebecca wakes up, puts on a slightly different outfit than she wore in the previous season. I'd say the biggest difference is she showed her belly off this time, which, look at the outfit, looks like a recolored version of the outfit that, well, Lucy would wear in Fairy Tail. It's pretty much a very similar attire. Yeah, even shows off her belly, which Lucy would do that later on in the series. So they explained that a mysterious ship has popped up out of nowhere. This is basically Drac and Joe's ship, the Gore, which has been following them, and apparently it's explained that this actually is from Geist, the planet where Whis is from. Yes. And they get there, you just basically just have Shiki, Homura, Pino, and Whis. They just walk away, see all the nicest places, and go various places. And then they run into the gangster they ran into the last season from the Noma arc of the series, which was the one that introduced Weiss. I believe this was the third arc of the first season. I believe so. Actually, it was the second arc. Yeah, it was during the second arc of the season that they pretty much basically run into him. And in case you forgot, the Noma arc was only 3 episodes. No joke. Yeah, Cyber makes a brief return here. Which is interesting, the fact that he shows up here. Yeah, this one here is an old man. From X492. Or mentions he works for a bar now. And you see a little bit afterwards, and of course Pino, he kind of apologized Pino for being a thug because that's when he was younger. And of course Sheikah points out he should be in jail. He was arrested, and of course Weiss points out though that he stayed when he was younger. And then he goes off, and then all of a sudden, as soon as he leaves them, then Drac and Joe shows up via these blue cubes. Hey, Eden crew of Eden Zero, I know you're here. I found your ship. So he sent his henchmen. By the way, one of them is a woman, to basically use their ship to basically punch a whole Eden Zero, and basically they boarded Eden Zero. And of course, basically, and the only people there to defend it are Sister, Witch, Hermit, Moscow, Captain Carter, and of course Rebecca. Basically, about half the Eden crew, which basically it's a good start. And they're going to be on the run. It's going to be quite interesting though of how in the world they're going to explore this particular arc. Yeah, and if you're curious though, I did look up exactly how long this arc is going to be. If you're curious, it's exactly 30 chapters. It's 31. Thank you. Really? Yeah, really. Now, how long do I think that this arc will last for? It could be half the season. It is possible. Yes, it's possible. It is pretty much basically a groundbreaking story arc. But yeah, definitely looking forward to exactly what they're going to do next. Okay, so that's a particular view. That's going to be it for videos. And pretty much with this, I've caught up with all my anime. So this coming Saturday, there's only 3 new anime. Free Revolution, which I believe is the penultimate episode of the season. Dragon Stampede, the final episode of Curve 1, and Case Closed. Sunday is only going to be three shows. Well, after that week it would be just 2. The final episode of My Hero Academia Season 6, One Piece, and of course the next episode of this one. But tomorrow, probably 1 or 2 videos happening tomorrow, the next couple of days. Probably finish up both free and of course work on basically some comic corners. Okay, next video. Bye.